Hello, I'm Caroline McCormick and I'm the Director of Achates, and I want to start this session by saying how delighted we are to welcome you to Achates Community. In our work with hundreds of cultural sector organisations across the UK and in writing the more than 50 masterclasses that underpin Achates Community on its launch, we've developed a set of principles which we think are central to bringing about a change in the way cultural sector charities operate with and for their audiences, the impact we create, and how we are perceived and understood in society. In short, bringing about a revolution in the cultural sector through our purpose-led and audience-informed approach. In this special session, created to launch the Achates Community programme, we're going to share these 10 principles and explore each of them and why they are central to success. For those of you already familiar with Achates and its work, the fact that our first principle is to listen to your audience won't come as a surprise, as our ethos has always been grounded in what we call an audience-informed approach. And we do use that phrase with care. It's always audience-informed, not audience-led, because we believe that cultural sector professionals are experts and that we bring our knowledge and expertise to the interest and ambition of audiences of all kinds. Not to simply give them what they want, but to also stimulate, challenge and provoke audiences. Implicit in this principle is the idea of audience consultation and a move away from a top-down approach to one in which audiences of all kinds, and by audiences we do of course mean stakeholders, those who have a stake in the work, and it's not just assumed that we know best, but rather that through consultation we can understand the situation of our audiences, their priorities, ambitions, and how we can, through culture, take them on a journey over time, optimising the impact and change we bring about in line with their priorities. Principle 2. Know your purpose. If there is one idea you will hear repeated throughout the Achates Community programme, it is that of the need to know and to be able to articulate your organisational purpose. And this is because we know that once you know what you are trying to do with and for who, and the change you are trying to bring about as a result, then the options as to how you realise the third pillar of your triple bottom line, money, should be clear. We always start with the two elements that compose your purpose, the work and the impact it brings about with and for your audiences, because you're a cultural sector charity, not a for-profit business, and these elements are your primary consideration. The money is critical, but it is the enabler of these two elements and not the primary focus, as it is in a business. You may be the commercial lead in a cultural sector charity, a fundraiser, a producer or a CEO, and money may be the focus and bread and butter day in, day out. But that money is always being generated in a charity to serve its purpose. And that's what keeps your work meaningful and you focused on your goals, and being able to articulate your purpose is, as we will explore, the superpower that helps you to reach beyond the external factors that inform your income generation success as a charity. This work is critical to all of the other modules in Achates Community and is covered in Module 2. We strongly urge you to spend time developing these elements so that they unlock the rest of the modules for you. Having articulated your purpose, or the first two pillars of your organisational triple bottom line, our next principle is, of course, to understand the unique and particular balance between all three elements. We envisage the three elements of your triple bottom line as points on a triangle and argue that the challenge here is to find the distinctive balance for your organisation in that triangle. There is no single correct balance. Understanding the potential impact you can make with and for your audiences through your work or your purpose is essential. But it's also unlikely that you will be able to deliver everything you would like to at the outset, at least. Being centred around your purpose will enable you to model your financial options and make the choices you need to make as to your priorities in a coherent and joined up way. Principle 4. Align your staff, board and audiences. And of course, we know that success comes when the staff, board and audiences all understand the purpose of the organisation, but also have some understanding and ownership of its operating model and the tough choices we sometimes have to make. Given this, we would always urge you to involve your wider staff team and board as the basis of your joined up organisational decision making going forwards. It's essential to remember that if you want grown-up decision making, then you also have to share enough information to enable this. And this is true whether you're asking staff to understand your financial situation or getting your board to focus on the elements of your purpose, as well as money. Usually when staff and board don't understand the choices we've made, this is at least in part because we haven't shared the information to support that understanding. And you can find sessions on working with boards in Module 17. Once your staff and board are aligned, the next challenge is to build a community of stakeholders around your organisation who understand, own and are aligned to your organisational purpose. And of course, the aim is, through your communications, to evolve that understanding of your full triple bottom line and to make them stakeholders in your sustainability at whatever level and in whatever way they have the capacity and propensity to do so. And remember, this is about achieving in your audience segments of those who are bringing both a financial contribution and those who bring their lived experience to enable you to balance your triple bottom line. Fundraising and philanthropy at all levels are central to this process, but so is volunteering, choosing to shop with you online or buying a coffee at your cafe, and other ways in which you share your power with your communities. One of the key methodologies we employ at Achates and recommend that our clients also work with is theory of change, which was developed by the Kellogg Foundation in America in the 1990s to support their grantees in optimising their impact with and for their audiences. At Achates, we employ theory of change at an organisational level and use logic models to consider the best approach to working with and for specific audience segments, ensuring a tailored approach that reflects the priorities of that segment and helps to move us on from a project-by-project approach to considering the range of things we offer each audience and how they combine as an audience journey, and to optimise the areas we can raise voluntary income against as a result. But we know and recognise that few creatives think in a linear way proposed by the logic model and theory of change. Most of us simply have an idea. So one of the principles we bring to this methodology in applying it to culture is to use it as a check to establish whether we have reflected the priorities of the audience as far as is possible, to learn from good practice examples of others, and by considering whether our proposed approaches are the best way of achieving the outcomes we aspire to realise, to push our project ideas to a new level as a result. An idea is always a great starting point. The methodology of theory of change and logic models should help us achieve even more. One of the key challenges facing everyone in the cultural sector is the growing financial pressure on all sides. And with contributed income unable to meet this issue in isolation, there is a need to open up new forms of earned income. At Achates, we're always looking to further our purpose whilst growing our income, so that we're not distorting the balance of our distinctive organisational triple bottom line. In order to do this, we've developed a new approach to help you to focus in on and identify your assets and to develop them into new forms of income generation and to lever them commercially. One point to note here, which we say as a cultural sector consultancy company, is the cultural sector is unlikely to be your best target market. So we'll be encouraging you to look at your assets with fresh external eyes. At Achates, we have a new vision for cultural leadership, one in which our organisations are a vital part of civil society and bring the power of empathy and understanding enabled through creativity into play, as well as amplifying benefit across other areas of impact. In this vision, working for cultural sector charities is an act of service, and our vision for leaders at all levels is one where we put the idea of the purpose of the organisation first. Learning to be a purposeful leader can be challenging. It often means putting aside ego in pursuit of bigger ideas, but it also means owning the fact that we can't realise everything we want to at once and be sustainable, and making clear and transparent choices we can stand behind and communicate. This is the purposeful leader, and our new leadership programme will support leaders at all levels to support their organisations in realising their purpose. One of the hardest lessons we've had to learn at Achates is just how hard critical thinking can be. As humans, we manage our lives through routine, the way we've done things in the past, as well as looking to the example of others. And when time and resources are pressed, we tend to lean into these habits. But what we really need at such times is the clarity of critical thinking, the ability to move beyond aping the ideas we have received to analysing them and evolving our own models. Critical thinking is a skill set which has been eradicated from the curriculum, and as a result, one we now need to learn afresh. At Achates, we have a critical thinking challenge each month to challenge ourselves to think again about problems facing the sector. And now, through Achates Community, you can take part in our critical thinking challenges yourself and start to build your muscles in order to apply them to your own organisation. It's challenging for those of us who live and breathe culture every day to acknowledge that the sector we love continues to reflect historic injustices. Even at the most fundamental level, culture is not equal or fair, as the only part of civil society whose distribution hasn't been driven by head of population, but by historic systems of power. None of us can fix this inheritance alone, but we can be part of a movement of people who believe that engaging with culture enables self-expression and creates empathy, and that as a result, culture is a fundamental part of society and a life well lived, and this is why it's a human right. Our community also has at its heart the need for the creation of a culture of equity, one in which none of us or no one organisation can achieve an ideal model or fix the historic injustices alone, but rather create a culture of honesty about what we can and what we cannot do yet, and seek to keep moving forward. This is Achates Community. This is the revolution in cultural sector support. Join us.